What's up YouTube, I'm Mike, and today I'm back with another quick bodybuilding video, which is really just going to serve as an advertisement for the new content that is hot off the presses in the members section of my YouTube channel. Now, some of you may be a bit upset who are already members. You signed up on the $5 tier. There is now a $25 tier. And I know that seems like a lot of money, but the content is gonna be worth it. So if you're not a member or you currently are a member, I would just advise you to just go to my homepage, just look at the title of the video that I just posted to the $25 member section. That should tell you pretty much everything you need to know. What I have discovered is that I can say absolutely anything that I want on YouTube if I say it in the right, if I put it in the right place. And so that content is massively, totally unhinged, and there is going to be considerably more of it. Basically what I have discovered, I have found a way to be crazy, insane, and deranged right out in the open. It's kind of like what I do with the fan page. You know, we make this content, we put a very high price on it, and we get the enjoyment of producing it when really very few people look at it. And so you get the excitement level that comes with producing content and putting it out there in the world that anyone could see. And so you get that adrenaline kind of fixation from it, but at the end of the day, it's not really viewed by that many people. So the total amount of fallout is low. I suspect that there's not going to be a huge number of people who are going to be willing to pay $25 to see this content. For those of you who do, you will not be disappointed. As I said, I'm going to start doing all my online coaching and everything through that membership tier, so there's going to be a lot of value for the money. I guarantee it. But today what we're talking about, aside from my little intro ad there that you may see more frequently, is a new game-changing thing that I have come up with. You might have noticed from the title. What we're going to be talking about today is sipping on the scissor for more Trenbolone gains. That's right, we're back to the 666 Mafia. Maybe this is a sign that I should go back to the 19 Mafia, not the Mint. I am still on Trenbolone, which is a 19 Nor drug, Deca, which is a 19 Nor drug, and I have YK11 that I've never tried, which is a 19 Nor drug. Maybe that is the 19 Mafia combination that I've been needing all along. Before we get into that, I am very happy to report, and part of the reason for making this video, my D game is back in business. At least it was last night, and I think I might have discovered a trend. I'm not saying this was the causal factor. I'm still convinced that high estrogen was definitively the causal factor in my broke D game. Because when it started getting better, I still had painful gyno, and so my D game was like better, but it was not great. And so I continued to dose the Arimidex until the vast majority of the gyno was gone. And the less and less sensitive my nipples become, the stronger and stronger the D game becomes. And so that is just about conclusive. I'm about to go get more blood work because Royal Medical Center is requiring it. So I'm going to end up getting a free estrogen test, testosterone test, and all of that to find out where it is now to see if I have crashed it. I'm currently only taking 200 milligrams of test. I mean, I've been tapering it rapidly. So over the course of the last few weeks, I dropped from 500 to 400 to 300. Now I'm technically pinning 200 milligrams of test per week. I'm taking 8X at 0.5 milligrams per day, and thus far I am not experiencing signs or symptoms that I've crashed my estrogen, and my D game was perfectly functional last night. It's the best functioning it has been in 10 years apparently. It seems like it's been an eternity. One of the things that was going on, however, that I've talked about a little bit since starting the Tren Ace, is even when I got my hormones in line and I got the Cialis back on board, my D game would jump into functionality, and I would be like, oh my God, this is great. Everything, you know, my wife and I are like excited. This is going to be a good night. 5 minutes in, total catastrophe. So I started jumping out of bed, checking my blood sugar level, and every time I had a crashed blood sugar. Numbers as low as 53 on my blood glucose meter, which is definitively going to break your D every single time, no questions asked. And so I started having a lot of problems managing my blood sugar since I've been using Tren-Ace. I am still taking Tren-Ace bi-daily, 2 injections per day, at 8 milligrams per injection. And guys, I'm telling you, this is the way to do it. I feel so much better, so much more stable on the twice a day injections. I get none of the cracked out feeling. I get an extra jolt of energy in the afternoon, right when you would normally be getting tired. I'm pinning at 8 o'clock in the morning and 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So right when I get home from work, when like the weight of the day is hitting you, you kind of just want to, collapse on the couch, or I sit down and I start playing a video game, and it's like you've been go all day long, and then all of a sudden you hit a wall. And so to come home, get that ACE injection, and over the course of the next hour, come back to life, eat a meal, go to the gym, put in a solid workout, that has been fucking game changing. And so today what we're talking about is a new, one more very unorthodox method that I have come up with. I've been trialing this for the past few days, and it is working phenomenally. So what I typically do is, to manage blood sugar, is I drink massive quantities of high fructose corn syrup in the form of Dr. Thunder, Dr. Peppers, stuff like that, because I've always read that fructose, it does not spike your blood glucose as bad. I tend to be able to maintain much more even blood sugar levels by using something like high fructose corn syrup. The problem is the second I introduce any dextrose or too much simple carbs in the form of white rice or especially pasta, I can spike a high blood sugar reading, and then I get the reactive hypoglycemia where it will crash very, very rapidly. So to give you an example, the other night when I had functional D-game, I ate a full meal of red beans and rice, and I had some Dr. Pepper, and I checked my blood sugar right before the act. My blood sugar was at 145 right before we got into the act. This total act was very short. I don't remember how much lead up there was. I think there was a short amount of lead up, and then actual activity. It is very reasonable to say that I might have been engaged in activity vigorous enough to raise my pulse to 145 beats per minute. 5 minutes, maybe 5 minutes. I don't know. It was not 10. And my blood sugar crashed from 155 to 68. Thankfully, we did not try to prolong this particular occasion. Thankfully, this was a relatively short occasion, because when I finished and immediately checked my blood sugar, it was already down to 66. 2, 3, 5 minutes longer, and it would have crashed completely. I would have totally lost functionality, and what was an otherwise functional night would have been a totally dysfunctional night, which has been really catastrophic for my psyche. Like, I'm having a really hard time coping with this. It has been brutal. It's been leading to a lot of insecurity and paranoia, and it's been a real problem. So what I discovered is that I made a video recently talking about the fact that I couldn't understand why I could not get my blood sugar to come up quickly. I was even drinking tablespoons of table sugar in water, trying to rise it to get it to come up quickly, because I had been under the mistaken impression that table sugar was pure dextrose. For those of you who don't know, the sugar that your body uses is glucose. So when you're checking your blood sugar, you are checking glucose. Glucose is what blood sugar is called. When that identical molecule is outside of the body, we call it dextrose. So dextrose is glucose. It's the same thing. If you ingest dextrose, your body does not have to do any processing at all. It will go straight into your bloodstream and it will then be considered glucose. This is what our bodies use to fuel our cells. I've talked about this in the past. You can look up the Krebs cycle. Basically, glucose is converted into ATP, adenosine triphosphate. That is the actual fuel that our cells function on. So everybody who thinks, oh, simple carbs, this carb, that carb, I eat rye bread or wheat bread, it's better than white bread, I eat brown rice, it's better than white rice, it's all BS, guys. Because at the end of the day, your body is going to take every carbohydrate that you ingest and convert it into glucose. The problem with high fructose corn syrup, the positive and the negative is the reason it doesn't spike your blood sugar as quickly is because it's 55% fructose, which your liver has to process first. There's a lot of literature about how fructose in large amounts is not good for you, can cause leaky gut, it can put strain on your liver. I'm not going to bore you with all the details, but I have always been afraid of dextrose because I have been afraid that the sudden rise in blood sugar would be the thing that is causing the reactive hypoglycemia and causing it to crash again. So what I came across is something that my wife had in the cabinet that I have never paid much attention to. This is the generic brand. You may know it as Karo syrup. Karo, or corn syrup, is very cheap. And corn syrup happens to be focus on me, 100% dextrose. So I happen to have some in this beaker that I have for, cooking reasons. And so last night, I filled this beaker to 60 milliliters. So 60 milliliters of corn syrup is the equivalent of 2 servings. A serving size of corn syrup is 2 tablespoons. That contains 30 grams of carbs, and those 30 grams of carbs are pure dextrose. It is pure blood sugar straight into the bloodstream. So the other night I decided, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to test it. I'd been having blood sugar problems. I was having trouble getting it elevated. And so I went out into the kitchen and I ate 2 or 3 tablespoons of Karo syrup. And suddenly within 5 or 10 minutes, I felt amazing. I was feeling energetic. I'm looking at my wife like, I feel really good right now. She's like, okay. And I'm like, I think it's that Karo syrup. My stomach felt it felt soothed. I just had energy. I just felt good. I don't know how to express it. I just felt good, energetic, happy. I checked my blood sugar. It had gone from 90 to 155. So I tested this again last night prior to adult activity. So I got 60 milliliters of Karo syrup and I drank 20 milliliters. And I tested my blood sugar like maybe 10 minutes later, and it had gone from like 100 that it was hanging out at pre-food. Actually, I had eaten a meal. That's the thing. I had eaten a meal and my blood sugar was still hovering around 105. And so it's like, why is this not working? I ate a couple of Skittles, wasn't really feeling it. So I drank 20 milliliters of Karo syrup, and within 10 minutes, my blood sugar was up to 155. So I engaged in adult activity. We started the beginnings of adult activity, which took a few minutes, took a little while, a handful of minutes. And so right before I jumped into the act, I just took another sip. Like there's some in here right now. It's kind of jelly. It's hard to get out, especially if you leave it out overnight. See, so it's a little coagulated. I definitely would not recommend leaving it out overnight. So I took a swig, probably 10 milliliters of the Karo syrup right before I got into the act. My blood sugar stayed elevated the entire time. The act probably ended up lasting longer than it normally does. One, because my functionality was 100%, and my wife was letting me just kind of have my way. So I took my time, and things went phenomenally well. I checked my blood sugar after we were done. Do you remember what it was? It was up over 100. it stayed stable is the significant factor. So what I'm going to be doing over the course of the next week or so is doing a trial experiment where I'm going to microdose throughout the day or maybe more heavily dose Karo syrup so that I can get pure dextrose into my system. Now I know there's a doctor or two in the audience that's going, holy, what is this guy talking about? This is exactly the opposite thing you should be doing for hypoglycemia. You want to eat complex carbs. You want to try to control for any possible blood sugar rises. I understand all that. I've already tried that. I've tried controlling my blood sugar by eating just full meals. And while that does work, the reality is that there's the ideal way of doing something and then there's the way you're going to do something. So when I eat more complex carbs and I sustain myself on whole foods and meals, while that tends to lend to fewer blood sugar crashes, it's not 100%. For whatever reason, spaghetti noodles will send me into a reactive hypoglycemic fit every single time, 100% of the time, guaranteed, no questions asked. I don't know why that is. I can eat white rice with impunity, but if I eat pasta noodles, it will blow up my blood sugar and I will be in the floor in a puddle of sweat in no time. And so, given the fact that I know throughout the day I'm going to cheat, I'm going to have a Dr. Pepper, I'm going to have something that is not ideal for a person with hypoglycemia, I would rather just manage it the way I do everything else and just constantly keep my blood sugar topped off. Not constantly, but at a bare minimum, with the Karo syrup, it is so fast acting that even if I start to feel a low period coming on, I can get out of it immediately. Rather than laying in bed with my wife and eating like half a bag of Skittles while she's doing some things, and then right before I get into the act, be literally shoveling food into my mouth while I'm in the middle of the act, and still sometimes not have enough blood sugar to get through. Now all I have to do is just take one big swig of Karo syrup, blood sugar goes through the roof, stays nice and stable for a good strong length of time, and I'm back in business in all forms and fashions. I wonder if this is not going to be an absolute game changer for running Trenbolone acetate for those of us who struggle with either A, getting enough calories, or B, maintaining your blood sugar levels. One of the things I figured out last night, because I struggle to eat, I struggle to get all of the calories that I need to grow as big as I can. Well, 60 milliliters of Karo syrup is 240 calories and 60 grams of carbs. You can very easily drink in one sitting 60 milliliters of Karo syrup, and it is surprisingly comfortable on the stomach. Then you can turn around and have 3 tablespoons of olive oil, and now you've got your carbs and your fats. Eat a piece of chicken, you've got a full meal as far as macros go. So I could literally carry around, like when I'm on the road during the day, I could literally just have in my backpack a bottle of Karo syrup, a bottle of olive oil, and a big piece of meat, and have every single macro that I would possibly need covered, drink water for hydration, and be good to go. We could pare this thing down to something that doesn't even require meal prep and is literally where you can literally ingest all of the calories you need in a couple of spoonfuls, and you know, however long it takes you to chew down a piece of chicken, you know, or a steak or whatever it is. I'm constantly finding ways to F myself up even worse than I already am, and I'm sure this one is going to actually lead to type 2 diabetes. I can't imagine that it is ideal to be dosing yourself with Karo syrup regularly throughout the day, but what I do know is that crash blood sugar is worse. I may regret saying this, but I almost feel like if I had the option between hypoglycemia and hyperglycemia and being diabetic and having to control it with insulin, I almost feel like I'd rather just go the insulin route, because at least it's predictable. You know, at least it's like, okay, I'm eating X number of carbs, I need X number of units of insulin, and it's something that I can control just like I control everything else in my life. When you don't know, like when you sit down to a meal and it's like, hey, it's spaghetti night, and you don't know if in 30 minutes you're gonna be in the floor, it makes life really difficult. This happens in customer visits all the time. I cannot tell you the number of times that I've been walking in somebody's hot, sweltering warehouse, going over a large business deal, and had to excuse myself and run out to the car and get in the package of Starburst or I usually keep Sweet Tarts in my car because Sweet Tarts are actually made of dextrose and they will bring my blood sugar up as rapidly as possible. It's actually very frequent. Usually before I go into a client meeting, I will pound a bunch of carbs because I can never know how long I'm going to be in a hot warehouse, and it will knock my blood sugar out. So that's the deal. That's the experiment I'm running now. For those of you who are curious, my hormone protocol is down to 200 milligrams of test, 200 milligrams of Deca, 112 milligrams of Trinase, 200 milligrams of Masteron. We're bringing it all down. And the thing that is so crazy is I have cut my cycle in half, basically. I am down to half the total androgens that I've been running, and I was up to 214 pounds again last night. So I'm only working out 3 days a week. I'm taking half of the gear. I'm growing while leaning up my abs and drinking K-Row syrup for carbs. If this is not the Matrix, guys, I don't know what is. But I can tell you one thing is for certain: the new membership section on this channel is about to be popping off. So if you enjoyed the Discord, if you have any desire to get information on PEDs, on coaching, on all of my unhinged takes, completely uncensored rants and rages, all of that is going to be piling up quickly in the new unhinged section of my membership section. So definitely check that out. Even if it's for 1 month only, I think if you just go look at the title of the video that's there now, it might be enough to let you know this is going to be for real. As always, thank you for watching. We'll see you on the next one.